Good evening, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Council of the City of Long Beach, held Tuesday, October 17th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Bear with me one second. We'll have a roll call. Councilmember Postoli.
Here.
Councilmember Lester.
Here.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Present.
Vice President Treston.
Here.
President Bendo.
Present.
Let the record indicate the presence of Acting City Manager Ron Walsh and Corporation Counsel Dennis Cohen. We'll now have a salute to the flag.
How about Mr. Grant? Lead us. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our second meeting of October. And I guess we'll get started with the city manager report.
Thank you. So I have a little bit of a city manager's report today. The first thing I want to talk about is just about a week ago, I believe the world was all appalled as we learned about the unprecedented surprise attack on the innocent civilians as in Israel by Hamas. And since then, a high-level Hamas leader has made a statement calling Muslims to carry out a jihad against the Jewish people of faith across the globe, and more specifically against Israel and its borders. As that relates to us here in Long Beach and in New York, I wanted to make sure that the public was very well aware that there are no known threats as of this writing or as of this at this time against the city of Long Beach, Nassau County, or for that matter, even New York City. The police department has initiated what's called intensified and directed patrols at all of our houses of worship, at all large gathering spaces, at our hotels, at all events, at all of our schools, including public, private, and parochial within the city. And we're also taking appropriate steps with additional manpower, tours, and extra vigilance to make sure all the residents of Long Beach are safe. The police department here, we have a very, very strong relationship with the Nassau County Intelligence Section, as well as our state and federal partners, actually, to ensure that we have the latest intelligence and that we are able to take all the necessary steps to keep everyone safe. You should also know that directly related to Long Beach, as compared to this time last year, our crimes, our Part 1 crimes, which are our most serious crimes, are down about 39% through September, and our Part 2 crimes in the city are down about 18% for an accumulated total drop in crime of about 24%, 23.9. And while I would love for the year to end with these numbers because they're very, very nice for the city to have that much of a drop in crime, the future remains untold, and we will do our best. But one of the compliments I want to pay is that to the residents of the city for being diligent and for always, when they see something out of place, and I encourage this to happen, or something that makes people in this city uncomfortable, you call the police right away, and make sure that we have the information to know when something is happening so that we can take appropriate steps. The number downstairs for the police department is obviously it's 431-1800, or you can always dial 911 and you will get us. But the men and women downstairs of the police department are committed to ensuring the quality of life here in this city is preserved to the best of our ability, and that you all remain safe. So I wanted to make sure that message was out, and that the city was aware of sort of the status of where we are right now with regard to threats to the city. On a much happier note, we just had our fall festival outside this past weekend. And while Saturday was all but a wash, although some people did manage to come into the food tent and enjoy Saturday out of the weather but outside still, Sunday was an absolutely fantastic day downstairs. And I would be remiss, and I echo the words and the sentiments of the council, that the men and women who work for this city who took the time, the care to actually transform the outside of this plaza into such a beautiful festival. It was really amazing. I mean, office workers were out there decorating the tents, decorating inside and out of our tents. You know, we blocked off roads. We made sure the cars were done. We cleaned up, we opened our parking lots up. We cleaned them. All the staff moves their cars, you know, to very distant parking places, and it was really wonderful to see from now the city manager's side, the CSCA employees and just city employees in general really coming together and working so hard to have such a terrific event. I really want to give also a special thanks to four people in particular on the planning committee for the festival who really take a tremendous amount of pride in that festival, and that's Carrie Ann Troy, Rosemary Alton, Matt Coat, and Tracy Murray. Those are the planning committee for the fall festival, and they really did an outstanding job. So I would just like to take a moment and recognize them and thank them very much for their efforts. And the last part of my city manager's report is actually some really good news, too. We just received a grant from the U.S. Forest Service for $100,000 to actually purchase over 100 medium-sized trees for the city. These trees are 8 to 10 feet tall, and they're going to be planted and maintained by city staff. There are only 28 awards in the entire state of New York, and only 3 here on Long Island, and Long Beach was one of them. And Mike Robinson and our consulting firm Millennium went after this grant, and we were actually able to secure it. These trees will be planted throughout the city, focusing in areas to really try and prevent those heat islands from building in the summer, and also to help build our storm resiliency throughout the city as well. The contracts for this will take a little bit of time to get here, but we have $100,000 for the city, and sometime in late spring, we're anticipating many of these trees to start to be coming in. I would also like to offer that if anybody has an idea for a place where they would like a tree, that we would take the call in the city manager's office and start a list there, so that if you have an area where a tree was killed during Sandy or one of our storms, then that you'd like to see that replaced, these are the funds that we actually now have to actually offset an increase in taxes to do this and to really come through the city. So that concludes my city manager report, and thank you for the time.
Actually, just want to add...
Is your mic on?
Mike's not on.
Oh. There we go. I just want to add a couple of pieces of information to what the commissioner was saying about crime. So we have made 2 lists this year. And anybody that's been coming to these meetings for a while knows in the past, typically when we made lists, it was usually a bad thing. This time, the 2 lists we made on one, we were the 22nd safest city in the entire United States. And on the other list, we were the 7th safest small city in the United States. That's a big deal, and that's a testament, I think, to our police department and the work they do, and to some degree the vigilance of our residents, too. So just wanted to add those 2 little nuggets of information. I think Councilwoman Treston has something.
Thank you. Unfortunately, the weather on the weekends has not been conducive to having our usual support for our walks and our rallies. Sunday, as the sun shined bright, the VFW was able to complete their walk for suicide awareness among veterans. Earlier this month, Circular was to have their 10th anniversary walk for domestic violence awareness. Due to the weather, it had to be canceled. So I want to take this moment to acknowledge Circulo de la Hispanidad. Karen, please. Hispanidad, thank you. This local nonprofit provides a range of Spanish-English services to assist individuals affected by violence, sexual assault, stalking, and dating violence. Support includes case management, support groups, advocacy, counseling, and so on. Let us remember that the fight against domestic violence requires the concerted effort of individuals, our city, and our organizations like Circulo. Once again, a big thank you to Sarah Brewster and Gil Bernardino for their efforts on behalf of the members of our community. Only together can we break the chains of abuse. And as I say often, you are not alone. Thank you.
Okay, and one final thing before we move to the agenda. So on Friday, we were informed that the bill for parkland alienation of the beach might be going sometime soon to the governor's desk for signature. So the council put together a letter on Friday and sent it to the governor. And I'll just read it quick. So, dear Governor Hochul, we write to thank the state for correctly rejecting Equinor's request for an outrageous rate increase beyond what they had originally agreed to. Equinor has repeatedly proven to be a bad partner to the Long Island South Shore communities. Bill S-6218A currently sits on your desk awaiting either your signature or a veto. To reiterate, the stance expressed to you in our July 17, 2023 letter, the Long Beach City Council and our constituents are fervently opposed to this project. If granted, the Parkland Alienation Authority contemplated in said bill, this council would summarily reject any such requests from Equinor. If, in your estimation, vetoing the bill would better support the position of the City Council and our residents, you would receive no objection from us. Notwithstanding the above, we fully recognize the urgent need to transition away from fossil fuels in order to avert the worst impacts of climate change and support the state's efforts and your leadership to that end, including the development of offshore wind. We stand ready to engage with a proposer of a responsible project that is not detrimental to Long Beach. Respectfully, and the whole council signed the letter. So we sent that to the governor's office on Friday. Now it's up to the governor what she does with the bill.
Yeah, John, I just wanted to add that is, urging the vetoing of the bill is a direct example of a good model of how we work with the residents and the community and government to push forward what the right thing to do is for the community. So we await the results and we will see.
Okay, and let's move on to the agenda.
Okay, our first item this evening is a public hearing for a resolution granting waiver of off-street parking requirements for premise 138 East Park Avenue, street floor.
Okay, are the applicants here? Okay. Okay.
Hi,
and
good evening.
hello,
Hi.
could you just give us your name and address for the record?
The address is 138 East Park Street.
And your name?
My name, Amanda.
You need to talk into the microphone, Amanda.
Can you hear?
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, my name Amanda. Hi, everyone.
Okay, could you just tell us a little bit about the business?
Okay, so this is actually our second store for the
Okay.
for the nail business. So we are pretty confident with our skills and the professions. So we will try our best to service the residents here, the beauty, the hygienes, the cleans in a safe way.
Okay. How many employees do you anticipate having?
For this one, we have almost 20 employees.
Almost 20 employees. And how many customers at a time do you anticipate servicing?
Yes, happy customers.
About the same?
Sorry, come again?
About how
How
many
many
customers do you expect to service at each, at a time?
Oh, for each employee?
No. Just at one time, how many customers could you?
Oh, you
could
mean
you do?
in the
Yeah.
in the place? Depends on the rush hour sometimes.
Okay.
So it can be 15.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
And are you going to be open 7 days a week?
7 days. Yes.
Okay. And what times do you anticipate being open?
9:30 to 7:30.
All right. And do you think, will you be getting deliveries or at the shop?
Deliveries? No.
Deliveries of supplies and things?
No. We just give the service.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the council members? All right. Any from the public? Okay. So seeing that, I will close the hearing, and why don't we vote on this item now?
Okay, so voting on calendar item number 1, resolution granting waiver of off-street parking requirements for premise 138 East Park Avenue. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
You got that.
Who said it?
I think,
I'll give it to
Roy?
Roy.
Okay. Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
yes, welcome to Long Beach.
Thank
Count-
you.
Councilmember Lester. Yes. Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you.
And President Bendo.
Yes, welcome to Long Beach, and good luck.
Thank
Look
you.
forward
Thank
to
you
seeing
very
your
much.
business.
So everyone got discount.
We can't
Thank
do
you.
that.
Oh, we
Have a
can't do
great
that.
night.
We can't do that.
Thank you.
We can give it to them first.
Thank you.
Okay. Our second public hearing for tonight is a resolution granting waiver of off-street parking requirements for premise 266 East Park Avenue.
Okay, and we'll open the hearing for that.
I'm going to recuse myself on this.
Okay. So Councilman Lester's recusing himself. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so could you tell us a little about the business?
Sure. It's essentially a neurocognitive gym. We do
Into the microphone,
Pull
just
the
like raise it up.
essentially it's a gym for the brain. We combine physical activity with cognitive activities. We accommodate everything from early development 2-year-olds to 100-year-olds, treating everything from early intervention issues with young children to adults with cognitive decline, post-stroke, people who feel like maybe their brain isn't functioning the way it should or as effectively as it could. So the technology we use is considered gamification, and it incorporates physical activity with cognitive activities.
Okay, and how many days a week do you anticipate being open?
7 days.
Okay, and what do you think your hours will be?
Usually between 7 and 9.
All right, and about how many employees?
5 to 10.
All right, and how many customers do you think you'll be doing at a time?
Anywhere from 2 to 20.
Okay. All right, any other questions from the council? All right, any questions from the audience? All right, seeing none, why don't we take a vote on this now?
Okay, voting on calendar item number 2 is a resolution granting waiver of off-street parking requirements for premise 266 East Park Avenue. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes, and welcome, and it sounds really cool.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you.
President Bendo.
I can think a lot of people I'd like to refer for that service, so yes, and welcome to Long Beach, and
Thank you.
good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a great evening.
Have a
Have a
good
great
night.
evening.
Okay, continuing on with the calendar. Item number 3 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to accept funds from the New York State Municipal Workers' Compensation Alliance.
So this item is our workers' compensation company. Basically, they give a refund of sorts, or a loyalty award program for improving workplace safety, and the amount this year of our reward is $40,489, and I encourage the council to accept.
Okay, any questions from the council? Seeing none, any from the audience? Okay, on to the next item. Oh, Mr. Hodge.
James Hodge, 95 East Fulton Street here in our great city. Just wanted to ask, when these funds come in, where is it set to go, in general fund or?
Yeah, so these funds, any monies that we take in that were not anticipated or budgeted for go into the general fund, and it doesn't go into the budget.
Okay, Oh, they go call you next. Get ready to come up. All right, so you said that it just goes into the general fund. All right, I just wanted to know, but I always say, since we have the great volunteer auxiliaries also and the great volunteer lifeguards, when major funds come in sometimes that we don't anticipate, and we could buy more equipment or do things for these two fine departments that volunteer and always need equipment, we should always look to that too, at the same time getting in all the funds we can to keep taxes down. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from the public? All right, on to item 4.
Item 4 is a resolution authorizing transfer of funds for the 23-24 fiscal year.
So, as we were trimming back the trees this year and working on the lights outside and testing to see how they were, it turns out that many of the Christmas lights up in the tree, or the holiday lighting, wasn't working properly. So these funds are needed to replace those lights out on the plaza.
All right, any questions from the council?
Sure. It's on, okay. Ron, the lights, the white lights, they stay on all year round on the trees?
We generally use these lights for holidays and special events. But
No, but I mean, they stay on the trees. all
on the
year
trees, yes, I'm sorry, yeah.
round. Yeah, which makes sense, because
Yeah.
taking them on and off,
It's
you know.
manpower unnecessary, right.
Has it ever been considered leaving them on all year round? A lot of municipalities do that. It just makes the place look beautiful. I mean, even Kennedy Plaza. or
I don't know
something
that
like
you'd get an argument out of anybody. They're LED lights, they would cost minimal, if anything, to keep on, so, I mean, I'm sure we could make that suggestion.
Maybe it's something we could consider at one point.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions from the council? Any from the public? All right, seeing none, on to item 5.
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing an amendment to the personnel roster and a transfer of funds for the 23-24 fiscal year.
So item number 5 here is basically the replacement of members of the city's workforce that have retired, and it's a zero budgetary impact here, and they're actually moving money between our different departments to cover the salaries of the people coming in from our part-time to full-time workforce.
All right, any questions from the council? Any from the public?
Yeah.
Mr. Hodge?
I'm running, if you didn't know. James Hodge, 95 East Fulton Street, Long Beach, New York. So this is bringing more CSEA workers on, right?
No, it's actually not an increase in the workforce. It's replacing members who have retired.
Yeah.
But there are part-time employees that already work for the city that have a proven track record with us that have been offered the opportunity to be full-time employees.
Okay, so again, we
it's a good thing,
Yeah,
if
so
that's what
we
you
have
mean.
workers that are
Yeah.
getting civil service.
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
so I was a civil service person, if you didn't know, for 23 years.
How could we not know that?
Okay, I
James?
just wanted to make sure I reiterate that.
Oh, okay.
And so I am excited always when some hourlies, which I was an hourly for about 4 years, and I was grateful to be able to get hired into the CSEA union, one of the most powerful unions in the world. So I thank my time here in this city working in 4 great departments. I thank the leadership and all the union members, my brothers and sisters. Thank the city for giving how many people are coming on?
This particular one is for 2.
Okay, 2. Well, even 1 is important. Every one is important. I just wanted to say thank you. CSEA, strong.
Okay, any other questions from the public? Seeing none, on to item 6.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing continued retention of outside counsel.
Yeah, I'll let Dennis.
So this is just a new retainer agreement for Bond, Chenick and King. They are our current labor counsel. Their retainer agreement expired in September, so this would just be a new retainer agreement to keep them on board.
Okay, any questions from the council?
Ron, the hourly rate on this is a discounted rate?
Yeah, originally, it's a discounted rate for anything the public can certainly get, and it's also a discounted rate from when the original proposal was. We went back to the principals and asked them if they would reduce their rate. They did, and it's definitely in alignment with our other contracts as well.
Can we disclose what the rate is?
It's in the backup material, and it'll be posted. Well, do we post the rates actually on these? I don't know if that's allowed. The rate, the hourly
rates are
rate is,
included
right?
in the attachment to the resolution.
Yeah, okay, it's in this book, but, yeah,
Right
okay.
here, right.
Yeah, it's like
It's
about
right there.
200.
Oh, in the
something.
public document, okay, yeah,
It's in the
Says right
agenda.
here, 295.
okay.
295, that's,
285, 245, 210,
It's a
and
$50,000
$135.
retainer,
Yeah.
and then it's a rate depending on whether it's a partner or a
yeah.
senior associate, so it's different rates. The
I just
rate-
wanted to say, I did look at the rates, and they're...
And you wouldn't work for this little?
Would not, no, I
Sure.
would not, nor would anyone in my office.
Yeah, I'm
So,
aware.
It's a really good deal.
Okay. Any questions from the public?
Sam.
Mr. Pinto?
Good evening, everyone. Sam Pinto, Long Beach Professional Firefighters. Members of the City Council, I ask that you do not support this extension agreement unless it is reflective of the nature of relationship that you would like to maintain with the City Firefighters Union. I can go into how long Mr. O'Neill and Bon Chona King have been representing the city while they're here during the failed restructuring, during the layoffs, during the time of Jack Schneerman, Anthony Ramo. I can look up all their campaign contributions, but I don't think I need to go that deep into the conversation. My real concern is that, I may have an intimidating mustache, but I'm not that smooth of a negotiator, right? You don't need to retain counsel for 2 years just to deal with mediation with the fire department. This says here that it covers just mediation and bargaining. It doesn't cover grievances. It doesn't cover impact arbitration. It doesn't cover anything else besides the fact that they're your general counsel or your outside counsel to deal with the firefighters union. The PBA, because of the great work of the city manager, acting city manager, who's very well versed in police work, was able to work out a settlement agreement. But right now, you guys are looking to maintain a 2-year extension to just deal with the firefighters union at $50,000 a year retainer. Now, why is this odd to me? Because this is also the last possible time before an election coming up that the members of the council can weigh in on this. Now, this is the direction the council wants to maintain, maintaining Bon Chona King, hamstringing the possible next administration for negotiations with the firefighters union. That's your choice. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I would just urge you not to. It's still your privy. So with that, I hope you take that into consideration, especially the timeliness of this whole situation. You have a very well respected inside counsel who can definitely handle me. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not smarter than anyone else in the room. But for the need for you guys to retain outside counsel in respect to these topics, to just deal with us, especially right before another possible change in administration. I mean, the council made their point to come across that they're looking for a search firm for a new city manager. They said that they don't want to give a contract to the current police commissioner, but now they're giving a contract to general outside counsel to just deal with grievance and impasse arbitration for the firefighters union. So I hope you take that into consideration, and thank you for your time.
You underestimate your ability to negotiate. The retainer agreement allows us, or if the city council so chooses, to terminate the services. So it doesn't lock them in for any period of time. It's a 2-year retainer, but it has a termination clause.
Appreciate that. I just think it's very reflective of the direction that they may want to be going, and I hope for otherwise. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments from the public? Mr. Hodge?
So again, the outside counsel would cost how much?
It's in the resolution.
I know, I just wanted to hear from you.
Yeah, so the retainer for negotiations is $50,000 a year.
And if you were to again, like you said, to stop this contract anytime, is there any penalties?
So there's not a penalty. There is because he's providing discounted rates, if we terminate the contract, the rates for the work that he had done would increase a certain amount.
Okay, do you know how much that amount is?
I do.
Okay, is it
Sure.
private?
No, it's actually in the attachment to the resolution.
Okay, so my thing is that, I mean, me and Roy spoke about it the other week. If we know that it's a possibility that we may, and Cohen, I think you have an impeccable resume, sir. You are a lead litigator. You've been doing this for a while. I'm not sure that you need to get outside counsel. I know the city has a lot of things going on, but it may be where the city council probably can negotiate this. Whoever may be on the next council, I'm not sure. I just wanted to stand up and say that if there's a termination, if we terminate and it's going to cost us a lot of money to terminate it, or if it's not, I just know that sometimes we can do a lot. I don't know how many attorneys we currently have in-house. How many attorneys is it?
We have 4 others.
4 other attorneys?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I don't know the level. I would expect that the level of all our attorneys are second to none. I'm just, anytime that it looks like we have to get outside counsel, when we probably can negotiate some of these things in-house, I know one in particular that we definitely can negotiate in-house, or maybe a few. But I'm just saying, I think this is something that you may not need counsel. And Sam said he's a good negotiator, so he
underestimated himself. He said he was not a good negotiator, and I corrected him.
Oh, okay. So I just wanted to see how much would the penalty be, and say that I'm not sure if we need it.
I appreciate that. In the 6 months that I've been here, I've made sure that we've sent very little cases out.
I know.
But on a case-by-case basis where I determined that it would be foolish not to have someone there with an expertise and a knowledge of the processes and the relationships with arbitrators.
Okay.
I think it would be foolish not to have someone on something
Okay,
like
all
this.
right. I mean,
but I will assure you that
Okay.
we've taken the necessary steps to keep as many cases in-house as possible.
Yes, I know. I've done a lot of research on you. And so it would be an attorney or legal services that's kind of experts in this area of negotiating.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the public? Seeing none, on to item 7.
Item 7 is a resolution authorizing budget amendment to the general fund budget and budget amendment to the capital projects fund budget.
So earlier in the year, we had applied for a $160,000 grant, which the council has already adopted. This is the moving of the money from a restricted account to a non-restricted account to pay for the body-worn cameras for the police department.
Okay, any questions from the council? Any from the public? Okay, item 8.
Item 8 is a resolution authorizing budget amendment to the general fund budget.
So this particular item is the amount of money being taken from the unassigned fund balance of the city to pay for the expenses of the upfront expenses for the PBA contract. It does not include any of the savings. It is just strictly for the regular salary line.
All right, any questions from the council?
Yes, President Bendo. It's my understanding that we have a fund balance policy where we are required to have a certain percentage of our general budget in reserve, and that's unrestricted funds. So after this allocation, how much approximately will be left in that fund, which we are required to have?
It'll be approximately $12 million.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any questions from the public? All right, seeing none, on to item 9.
Item 9 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding the electrical code. This item is for publication only. A hearing will be held on Wednesday, November 8th at 7 p.m.
So,
Item 10,
I'm sorry.
that was publication.
No,
only.
that's right, publication, my mistake.
Publication only. Okay, item 10 is approval of minutes for prior meeting, October 3rd, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Okay, on to the voting portion. And we'll start with item number 3, which is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to accept funds from New York State Municipal Workers' Compensation Alliance. Introduce and move the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 4 is a resolution authorizing transfer of funds for the 23-24 fiscal year. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing an amendment to the personnel roster and a transfer of funds for the 23-24 fiscal year. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the continued retention of outside counsel. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Well, this, I believe, does require a certain level of expertise to get it right, knowing how crucial this negotiation process really is. And as Mr. Cohen stated, we can terminate it at any point in time. And for those reasons, I will vote yes.
Councilmember Lester.
I have to agree with Ms. Postoli. This definitely, labor negotiations requires expertise and experience. I vote yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
I support Corporation Counsel Cohen's recommendation, and that's the responsible thing to do, is to hire a specialized attorney for these negotiations, which have gone on way too long. So I vote yes.
Vice President Treston.
I vote yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Okay, item 7 is a resolution authorizing budget amendment to the general fund budget and budget amendment to the capital projects fund budget. Introduce and move the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes, this is another tool that's going to add additional layer of transparency and accountability, and keeps us one of the safest cities in the U.S., so yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 8 is a resolution authorizing budget amendment to the general fund budget. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
And finally, item 9 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding the electrical code. Who introduced and move the adoption of this item?
I will. Roy's got it.
Cory, okay.
I'll
Second?
second.
Second. Okay. Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
City Manager's monthly personnel report has been filed by the city clerk. Who will make a motion to close the meeting?
Before we do that, I forgot to add something earlier in the meeting. So there are people out there right now trying to circulate that taxes went up here 30% in the last 4 years, and it had nothing to do with Haberman. Makes for good social media fodder. The only problem is it's complete bull. So I went back and I looked up what the operational tax increases were in the city for the last few years. So in the 2 years before this administration took over, the tax increases were 8.35% and 7.9%. And the city was borrowing millions of dollars every year on top of that to pay its bills. When we took over, the tax increases have been 3.67, 4.87, 4.9, and 0 this past year. How 3.5 and 4.5 and almost 5 equals 30? I don't know what school some of these people went to, but that's some messed up math they're using there. Now, was there an actual tax increase this year? Yes, but that was because of the Haberman lawsuit, which was a 30-year-old lawsuit that the first payment came due this year. That was from 30 years ago. So if you want to blame someone, go blame all those previous administrations that kicked the can down the road on that thing and did nothing, both Democrat and Republican administrations. So, and it's also worth noting that the actual judgment was $150 million. We negotiated it down to 75, saving people hundreds of extra dollars in their tax bill each year. Hundreds. So I guess I'll just leave it as, if that's the kind of information people are giving you, if they're giving you that kind of bull on this, you know, what else are they not telling you the truth about? So with that, I just felt that was important to clear up because that's been circulating around, and you know, sometimes you just gotta call this stuff out. So with that, now we can close the meeting.
Motion to close.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Postoli.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes. Okay. And first up in the batter's box tonight is Charles Rubin.
Oh, jeez.
Good evening. My name is Charles Rubin, and I'm an ex-chief of the Long Beach Fire Department. I'm here today representing the Long Beach Volunteer Fire Department and the chiefs of the fire department. We have an extremely high level of concern and the strongest objections regarding the plan to construct a new fire alarm dispatcher's office within fire headquarters. The council may not be fully aware of the applicable laws and issues involved that will significantly impact the health and safety of the fire department members assigned to fire headquarters and affect the public and the administrative operations of the department. Since my time is limited, I will only touch on a few items. In brief, the plan is to dramatically expand the size of the old fire dispatcher's office into the already overcrowded fire apparatus garage, install new equipment, and then relocate the fire dispatchers from the third floor of City Hall to this enlarged office. The fire dispatchers will move to the third floor after the old office was destroyed by Superstorm Sandy. That move has ensured that fire, emergency, and ambulance calls have been dispatched regardless of any weather event since Sandy. The new plan puts the dispatcher's office back in harm's way. It not only affects the ability of the Long Beach Fire Department to receive and respond to calls for help, but also the 4 other fire departments that pay the city to dispatch for them. Second, the existing dispatcher's office has more usable space than the proposed office. This gives us the room we need to operate during major incidents. For example, during the rainstorms of September 29th, 4 fire dispatchers handled 75 alarms in 3 hours. Third is the closing off of the pedestrian door between the apparatus garage and the rest of fire headquarters. You can see from these pictures that once the doorway is sealed up, the only way to walk out of fire headquarters is to squeeze through the 8 inches between an ambulance and the wall. Of course, this would include our career firefighters responding to alarms from their day room. This is the actual amount of space there is right now. It would make a dangerous situation even worse. The front of the ambulance pictured is only inches from the garage door. Some of the apparatus are already so tightly packed together that you must climb up upon the bumpers of the trucks to get from one side to the other. During alarms, members will be squeezing past responding apparatus within inches. This is a tragedy in the making. The Building Code of New York, the Nassau County Fire Prevention Ordinance, and the National Fire Protection Association require unobstructed walkways of between 36 and 44 inches.
Wait, so your time doesn't run out? I'm going to interrupt.
Time has run out.
I would ask for a little indulgence and leeway so I may finish this very important topic. I only need about another 30 seconds.
Okay, go ahead.
This plan does not comply with those codes. The 2019 NFPA codes and standards also have extensive requirements for fire dispatch offices that would have to be included in this new construction, adding tens of thousands of dollars in costs. Furthermore, the newly configured entrance and access to the proposed dispatcher's office would not be ADA compliant. This plan also eliminates the area that is needed for ready access to firefighting gear for responding members of Ladder 2 once the new truck the council has purchased is delivered. We would also lose a significant amount of office and record space and much of our very limited usable storage space. I will stop here, but of course we would like to continue the discussion with you and show you firsthand our concerns. Thank you.
That little piece of thing you held up, did you say that's current?
This is the current space between this ambulance, and the wall. Here. It's the actual space. If we close this door, right, we have to go out through here and cross between the ambulance and the wall through this space if you close this door. This door is now the door that everyone uses to get onto the apparatus door,
Right.
And into the fire.
Okay.
Thank you.
Since it looked like your remarks were written out, could you send those to us along with, because it's hard to see the pictures from up here, it's kind of dark. Could you send us the pictures and the remarks so we could, look at
Sure.
those while we're seeing,
Someone gives
seeing
me
what
the
you're
email
pointing
they'd
out?
like me to send it to, I'll be more than
Yeah,
happy
if
to
you could do that, that would be great.
Yeah.
And if you could send it to all of us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever you give me, sure. We'll just pass
Yeah,
it on.
please do.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Wait.
Mr. Happy himself, Ron Paganini.
Before Mr. Paganini comes up, I just wanted to take a moment to congratulate Mr. Reinhardt in his graduation from the Fire Academy. Fire Marshal? Is that what you are? Is that your brand new uniform? Congratulations, sir.
Ron? Did he sneak out on us?
No,
There he is.
Oh, there he is.
Here he comes.
Good evening, Council, Acting City Manager, and Councilor Cohen. Ron Paganini, 62 Harmon Street, Long Beach. This is my assessment. It's not everybody's assessment, but it's mine. I own this. This is the way I saw it. You might disagree, but that's okay. I've lost my faith in this council. Many reasons, and I don't have the time to say why. I've spoke to council, women and the men, to no avail on certain situations. You know, transparency and integrity came in and out over 4 years. The New Wave campaign promises, which I was part of at one time, I think was mostly a dream. Right now, we're going on the next 4 city managers in 4 years. That's counting John Mirando. If Mr. Waltz leaves within this year. 4. That sounds like the old regime. The overtime is still out of control, as I see it, from day one. Millions of dollars. I don't agree with your assessment of the taxes, but we don't have time for that. Crazy spending, salaries. This is where the people see it. Whether it's real or not, this is what we see. Okay? Crazy spending, salaries, new hirings, and a fiscal crisis. We've always been in a crisis since you got here and then the Haberman thing. But the biggest disappointment, and still bleeding the taxpayers, is the firefighters, their payroll. And I don't blame the firefighters. I don't blame Mr. Pinto. You know, in January, I blew the whistle on this scene, you know, of the insane salaries of $400,000 or close to it. Tripling their salaries. There was a weekly press stories from different news agencies covering this debacle. And the city council said they would address the situation. But as I speak, the money gate valve is still open. Nothing's changed. And you know, we can debate why it isn't changing, but the way I see it, it won't stop as long as this council rules over Long Beach. Why? Because the firefighters, you know, and the great president that they have, Sam Pinto, I wish he was my president when I was in the union. The guy's great. He knows how to play politics, and he's playing politics with the council. You know, he does his campaigning for them by using his magic keys and combinations to get into the buildings from Broadway to Shore Road and place political propaganda on everything. It all adds up. You know, I don't blame the firefighters. Maybe if I was the president, I got 1 second left. I just blame this council. The taxpayers come first, always. And I hope you remember that. So that's all I have to say, and have a good night.
Okay. Joseph Micchio.
Wait, before, I just want to say, Mr. Pinto has not utilized any magic keys to get me into any building this turnaround. Thank you.
I was there, you were there, and he was in the building, and he opened up for us. So stop the line.
Yeah, he's not been.
Stop the line.
Anyway, Joe Micchio.
Joseph Micchio, Michigan Street. I must say the crime reductions in the city manager's report were quite impressive. Those numbers are, that's very impressive, having served on the police myself, 1 year's difference. Is this thing not, can you hear me? Okay. This weekend, I emailed the council a few questions with some additional information regarding its handling of sex crimes, the department's handling of sex crimes in the city, conflicts of interests, and also training requirements and documentation of that. So I know it's only a couple of days since you've gotten that, but I would like some feedback on where the council is at least in what they're looking, the direction they're looking to go to address some of these things.
Mr. Michio, as I told you earlier, I'm happy to set up a meeting with you to discuss the issues that you're raising.
Yes.
Just call my office and we can have that conversation.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. Okay. I'm a little confused on the training qualifications regarding what Commissioner Walsh was saying. Where were you saying that you were talking about the levels of training? I'm trying to determine where Long Beach handling of sex crimes in how well they do it compared to the county. Are you saying that Long Beach does a better job than the Special Victims Unit in Nassau County Police Department?
I would say our work is on
just
par with
clarify
them.
for me.
I would say our work is on par with them. I wouldn't say either one does a better job.
Okay, so you say that work is on par. It's not an easy job. And as I said the last time, I believe it's not fair to put your police officers and your detectives in a position where they're really not doing it every day. And when you're not doing something every day or even every week, your skills do tend to tarnish a little bit. And I'd say it's department policy to put police officers and detectives in positions where they're not having the experience in handling. These are very sensitive things. I'll reiterate what President Bendo said at the last city council meetings. He said about the city manager and recruitment. He said it's their experience and what they bring to the position that matters, their experience. And he reiterated that several times in several different ways. So while you said that the members, or one particular member, has quite a bit of training, if I make an analogy, shoulder surgery, if you have both two doctors graduated from medical school with the same amount of training, and one handles one and a half surgeries a month, and another one's handling one shoulder surgery every weekday, which one would you choose? Which one would you think is best on their game? If I bring the analogy back to handling little kids, female sex crime victims, and things of that nature, I would say experience. I don't think anybody in this room would want somebody who really doesn't handle them a lot. You would want the very best and the most experience. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I'll answer it this way, Mr. Michio. When the Nassau County Police Department has 5 detectives assigned to the Special Victims Unit, and on average they're handling about 1,000 cases a year, which would be somewhere in the area of about 165 cases per detective. It's very different than when you're talking about shoulder surgery. In shoulder surgery, you're given a certain amount of time. You take the time that you need, you go in, and you basically block out the world. When one detective is handling that many cases versus in the Long Beach Police Department, we're handling 12 of those types. Mr. Michio, let me finish. We're handling about 12 of those types of cases, and the amount of time that we can dedicate, and not only that, and rally the resources of our entire detective squad when necessary to go around crimes of the magnitude that you're talking about. I feel very, very comfortable in the manner in which the Long Beach Police Department not only handled these, but I would hope that that type of attention, if somebody who I knew that happened, would be given to them.
Well, I would beg to differ on that as far as experience goes. It's a huge 10-to-1 difference in experience. And based on the complaints, you said that, that you had several complaints that were handled to SVS. And I spoke with the chair of the legislature's Public Safety Committee, and she said she's not aware of any that have happened with SVS in Nassau County.
So, Joe,
anyway,
Joe,
I'll end it.
Why don't you finish the conversation? We'll
Okay,
be
I will
done
with
soon.
Dennis. And the list of questions I had in there, that's what I'm looking for. I'll speak with Dennis about that. I'll give him a call. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
All right, Daniel Moran.
Thanks for this opportunity to speak to you folks during the good and welfare section. My name is DJ Moran. I am a professor at Touro University. I'm also a safety engineer. I have a PhD in psychology and I'm board certified in behavior analysis. The behavior that I analyze is safe behavior. I've written a book on building safety commitment. It's used around the world to help people act more safely. I was also really impressed that we were the 7th safest small city. That's awesome. Kudos to everybody involved. The measure for that award is actually based on violent crime and property crime. What I'm asking to do today is just talk to you folks about moving violations. I'm terrified about what's going on in Long Beach and how many people engage in moving violations. It's dangerous. I'm not some old man yelling, "Get off my lawn, you're driving too fast around here." I'm a safety engineer with a PhD. When I walk around this town, when I bike around this town, when I drive around this town, I'm astonished that we don't have more incidents and injuries around here. I'd like to see rescue and fire not have to be so active. What I'm noticing is that stop signs seem to be an option. I think that the speed limit is a suggestion. I am not calling out law enforcement or police officers. I know the job is tough. I back the blue. I understand that there are other priorities. I'm also not calling out authority figures because I understand there's a lot of things going on. But I do think that what might have slipped through the cracks is driver safety. I was interviewed for Newsday's front page on Sunday, where they're talking about Long Island's deadly roads. The reason why I was interviewed is not just because of my background, it's because of what I've observed on Long Island in Long Beach. It is astonishing that we don't have more incidents and injuries. I don't see a lot of cherry tops going off, not a lot of beacons, not a lot of people pulled over. I'm just making a call to action. I'm just simply asking the powers that be gather together to see what can be done to increase driver safety. I don't want to come back in 6 months and say, "I told you so." It is so dangerous around here with motor vehicles. No joke. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Just as a quick comment, Mr. Moran, it's interesting that you brought this up today because just today we were having a discussion with some of our state consultants as well as the team here locally about having a comprehensive traffic study done for the entire city of Long Beach because the movement of traffic, and when I say traffic, I'm talking about pedestrian, bicycle, motorcycle, motor vehicle, and emergency operation vehicles, is something that this entire city needs to be evaluated for because the level of congestion, the level of cars that we have, and the layout of the city do not lend itself to safety at all. And it was something that I brought up today on a call. We are looking to work with the state agencies right now to get some funding to do an overall assessment of the city, to make recommendations on the modifications that should be made to city roads from Park Avenue to Broadway to Beach Street, Long Beach Boulevard, to try and create a safer corridor for pedestrians and bicyclists and everything in between. Because I agree with you, it's just not laid out the right way. I 100% agree.
Mr.
Thank you.
Moran, are you available to assist the city administration? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. James Hodge.
He's running again.
Getting your exercise in tonight.
James Hodge, 95 East Fulton Street here in our great city. From Maple to Nevada, from the bay to the ocean. I thought, Mr. Ron Walsh, you was going to take my line. So, Mr. Moran, as I always say, there's so many great experts here in our great city. I think immediately we should invite him with his book. He's an author, PhD. He is smart. And he's an expert right here in our city. I think we should get his phone number, invite him to the table, and maybe the committee that you're looking to have, maybe let him lead that committee, because he's right here in Long Beach. That would be good. So that's about that. Also, I just wanted to say that our great fire department was up here. They do such a diligent job in volunteering, and I know they're going to send letters, but I ask, even as a resident, listen, if I don't know who did the study to make the changes, but I would say that the city council, you guys go down with the fire department, let them explain to you. I guess there's, they gave a lot of expert advice, and I'm not sure the expert advice that came from the other side. I'm not exactly sure how this decision was made, but I think maybe, go down and take a look with them because they are doing such a diligent job for our city, and I support them. And I've been, as a former animal warden, working with the police department, I used to always go through the fire department. During Sandy, I was in there a whole lot, upstairs, second part. But it's so tight in there already, and if we're talking about squeezing it out, then that means one of the fire trucks would have to be outside, the wear and tear from the weather and all of that stuff. It's no space unless you're building bigger. And it's already, situations with all of the fumes and everything that's in there and all of that. So I just think that you should really hear them like you are, and you said that you'll be meeting with them. Also, I wanted to take time to thank the city on the public hearing. The city voiced their concerns and their displeasure with Equinor and their displeasure with not wanting them to be in our city, and how they have been such abysmal of a job of again getting information. So you wrote a letter, you voiced it, you spoke up with so many of the residents, and now you wrote a letter to tell the governor to veto. I'm happy to hear that. Obviously, you speak a lot in public, but we've spoken a lot behind scenes, and you guys have heard, and before you heard, you've written the letters to say that you're against this. So I'm hoping the governor's office see this, that the residents don't want it. I think it was a lot of people that expressed that they didn't want this. And so, again, thank you for, hearing the residents and yourselves and speaking up and speaking out. Thank you.
Okay. Nora Egan. Okay. Christina Kramer.
Good evening. Christina Kramer. We appreciate all of you who showed up to the New York State public hearing. We're glad you're diving into the Article 7 impact statement. And based on your public comments, we finally see that you are now pointing out how detrimental a project of this caliber will be for our community. We hope you're now willing to go the distance with us. Thank you for writing a letter. We want Long Beach to go to the judges and say we want a full hearing where we have the ability to present evidence in opposition to waive our local laws. We want to hear that you intend to do that by submitting evidence that demonstrates their enormous adverse impacts to the waiver of local laws, and that the certificate conditions on the tables of their Empire impact statement fail to mitigate or avoid those impacts. Local law's specific legal standard of the public service law, it typically gets truncated to unreasonably burdensome. That's what developers like to do because it sounds so vague that it can be applied anywhere, right? But that's not the standard. It's unreasonably burdensome. In light of existing technology or the needs of our cost of the ratepayers, it invokes additional specific regulatory language that needs to be complied with. And these are the technical analyses. There has to be a robust showing of effects. They need to demonstrate that it's the minimum waiver necessary, that Equinor has identified and quantified the impacts that they're mitigating or avoiding them, and that they meet one of the regulatory tests that are required. And you know right now the application as we reviewed it, that they aren't going to do any of that. It's the most bare bones waiver analysis our lawyer has ever seen. It just says that they're going to waive this law and then spits it back to a standard with no evidence in support of the standard. So you know from the city's perspective that this is a great case. The city of LB doesn't need to really supply any evidence. You can just argue that there is no evidence on the record that Equinor presented no evidence to support waiver under the appropriate standard. That's your first argument. And the second argument is that, oh, by the way, here's our evidence, putting it through our own witnesses and our own testimony, which demonstrates enormous impacts that would result from waiving these local laws. then we can have evidence from our legislators and our finance department saying they know these are the reasons. We have a comprehensive plan which supports this specific law, which preserves this aspect of the community character, and waiving it has all of these horrible consequences. These are the things the city needs to do. If you force us residents to do it, it's going to be expensive, and we're not the best on the legal end. This should be the city defending its own laws. Maybe you're aware of this, and maybe you've come to the same conclusion we have. Maybe you think this is not the time, and maybe you're waiting. Maybe you're unaware because frankly, it's a niche area of law, and a lot of people, lawyers, have no idea what they're doing. Or maybe you're aware of it and using it as a mechanism to make this issue go away. I'm almost finished. Maybe you're aware that the settlement is a way to get around all of these thorny issues, because in the end, you'll be able to throw your hands up and say, look, we participated in confidential. I can't tell you what happened, but oh gee, the agencies agree with the applicant. Our hands are tied, and then you know they've hidden all that from the public. Confidential settlement. So that's why I'm saying we want you to make clear to the public tonight that you do have power here, and that without revealing anything that's going on in the settlement, you should make it known to the public that you are aware that the city has, number one, the power to fight for the full application of its laws. Number two, it's only three, the obligation to its residents to fight against the waiver of its local law. And number three, that the city needs to be doing everything it can to make sure that the laws are applied in their entirety. It can make no waivers. The onus is on the applicant, Equinor, to prove they have done their due diligence and have exhausted any and all other possible routes and solutions to receive these requested waivers. And I just want to give you this. This is just they have 70 pages of waivers they want to exclusion to, and I've written them out there in just a two-sided 10-page so that you can see how the residents are feeling towards the waivers that they're asking for privy to, or exception to. Thank you for your time.
Christine?
Thank you.
That was on one breath. That was impressive. But
3 minutes goes fast.
I know, but just be assured, we are talking to our attorneys and paying them, and we're on the same page. I mean, we're really on the same page on this, and we're looking for every avenue. I totally agree with you that, these things have to be considered. I mean, disrupting this city, what that construction is going to do to this city is unbelievable.
If I may, I just want a special thank you to John Bendo, because he actually spoke about how our city and our traffic will come to a stop. It will be horrible for our community. So thanks again, Tina, Liz, John, you all spoke. We appreciate that, and we want to just keep the momentum going, and thank you.
Thank you, Christine.
All right, and the other half of the team, Tim Kramer.
Hi, Tim Kramer. My wife kind of stole all my stuff here, but I'm going to do my best. First of all, I'd like to applaud everyone that got up and spoke last week at the hearing on the 11th. It was incredible to be witness to. Everybody made such a compelling argument, an intelligent argument. In my mind, it was a historical, very important day in Long Beach. So I applaud everyone that had the guts to come out and speak and speak intelligently. Also, Mr. Bendo, I'd like to applaud you as well. I'd like to echo my wife's sentiments. Your sentiments, sorry. Your words were impressive, very well thought out, and I commend you for what you said. And these are words that, quite honestly, were only able to be, said by someone in your position, and having the information that is available to you. So I applaud you for that. I assume that you believe your own words and you stand by what you said, correct? In your speech, that you stand by your own words and you believe the words that you said in that speech?
Yeah, so as I said during my remarks, I've worked in the power industry for a long time.
Right.
At hearings like this, the judges have to filter sometimes the emotional pleas from the factual pleas. What my goal was to try to leave out the emotion and, this sucks, you suck, we don't want, and just bombard them with facts.
Right,
Because that's what they have to do. They can't dispute facts.
Right.
So by bombarding them with, and quite frankly, I just took information from Equinor's own application and then said, this is exactly how it's going to be detrimental to the city, and they don't even address it.
Right.
So it was trying to make a fact-based, compelling case for why this is not good for our city, and it kind of makes it hard for the judges to argue
Right.
with
Well,
that.
I applaud you for your speech. It was incredible. So knowing that you believe in your own words and you stand by what you said, if in fact you do believe that, I expect you to do everything in your power to deny Equinor from laying that cable in Long Beach. And by doing that, you will then and only then convince the voters that your words hold value. So,
Okay, I mean, I'm not sure, I mean, it seems like we keep moving the basketball hoop. I mean,
well, I'm just saying that if you,
we just sent
by doing,
another letter to the governor on
Right.
Friday
Look.
saying it ain't happening.
right. All I'm saying is that we expect you, quite honestly, to do everything in your power as a council to not let them lay that cable through our town. That's all we're saying.
I got no problem laying Councilman Lester in front of the bulldozer.
All right, thank you.
All right, Jen Sarafin. And just before you start, I'll just say to Tim and Christine, I know we always haven't seen eye to eye, so I do appreciate the positive feedback, so thank you.
I want to also thank all of you who came and spoke, and for the whole council, finally, for being with us. And thank you, John. You really did fabulous in the facts, and I told you that day. We do appreciate it. And thank you for the three of you who came and spoke on behalf of not having the project. And on that note, I want to thank you all for the support last week at the hearings and for the letter to the governor opposing this project, and for sending that to not sign the bill. On that note, I and my group have a lot to say about that. Let's go back to the reason why this group was ever formed in the first place and why we had to retain a lawyer to navigate the Article 7 process. What changed? You fought us from the beginning about alienating that parkland and this legislation, and we appreciate that you're doing this now, but you do understand that that was the trump card, right? So even if this passed, why did you ever go do that land? Why were you ever told to alienate that parkland? We wouldn't be in this position now, and you wouldn't have to go backtrack and send that letter. And even if she signs that bill, you know you still have the power, right?
Correct.
Okay, so it doesn't even matter at this point. Are you all willing?
It doesn't matter at this point because if we get the power, it'll never get approved.
You were all willing to say that. You will never give them that land, right?
I think we said it pretty clearly in the letter to the governor. It's like, even if you sign this, we will never give them.
All right, that's what I want to hear.
Across Long Beach.
Okay, and is that letter going to be published on the website or somewhere that we can?
Sure. Has it been published yet, or?
I have it on my social media.
Okay, wonderful. That's
Sure.
all I need to
We can
know,
put it up
because
on-
we need to send it to our lawyer, too.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all I have to say then.
Okay, great.
Okay, great.
And Alexis Pace.
Hello. I'm chewing on a candy, I'm sorry. I'll try and speak while I have it in my mouth. Alexis Pace. First of all, I'm sad that the firemen left because I wanted to thank them for bringing that up to your attention. It sounds like they have a lot of information, and I think it needs to be listened to. So I'm sad they walked out. I'm here today because I attended as well the Public Service Commission's meeting that was held last week. I did make public comments that day, voicing my opposition to the wind project, as you know. During that meeting, I think the council members that spoke up and the community members that spoke also made it abundantly clear that they were opposed to the Equinor's plan. The resounding theme throughout that meeting, what I took away from it, was that Equinor overwhelmingly did not listen to the community, and that the project is bad for Long Beach, period, end of story. There's nothing else more to say. So I want to thank the council for reading the letter that you did tonight, and the fact that you're going to be sending it, or you sent it already, to the governor, asking her to veto the plan. I also wanted to publicly say that tomorrow, first thing on my agenda before I leave and go out of town, I plan on contacting the governor as well. And I'll either be speaking with her, or I'm going to demand to speak to someone in her office. And I want to reiterate to her that the people of Long Beach do not want this plan. Make sure she received that letter, and make sure that she does what she needs to do, and urge her to veto that plan. So many of you know me and know what a fierce advocate I can be. I've advocated for many things, and I 100% plan on getting that message to her. So I thank you for your advocacy, and I plan on doing the same. Have a good evening.
Thank you. All right, folks, that's it. Thanks for coming out, and we will see you at the next one.